Welcome to GameSpot Live. I'm Greg Kasavin here to tell you about Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance for the Game Boy Advance. It's the follow-up to last year's Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which was one of the first games to debut on the Game Boy Advance, and also probably the best of the first batch of games to come out for the system. So not only is Harmony of Dissonance the follow-up to one of the best games yet for the Game Boy Advance, it's also the latest Castlevania game, and of course Castlevania is this long-running, really popular Gothic-themed side-scrolling action series, so everyone wants to know how good the latest Castlevania game is. The good news is that, like many other games in the series, it's great. Whether it's better than Circle of the Moon is debatable, however. In some ways it is, and in other ways it's not quite as challenging and certainly at least different. Nevertheless, any Castlevania fan should feel like this latest game was worth the wait. Castlevania games always basically have throwaway stories. They're just excuses for putting you as some sort of whip-swinging or sword-swinging character in the middle of Dracula's castle so that you can run around and explore it and kill various bad guys. In this particular case, you play as Juste Belmont, who's the grandson of Simon Belmont from the original Castlevania. He looks nothing like Simon. He actually looks just like Alucard from Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation, still arguably the best Castlevania game to date. Like Simon, though, Juste fights with a whip, and he can execute the popular kind of whip-swinging technique from Super Castlevania 4, where you press and hold the attack button and move the directional pad around so that you can sling the chain in various directions. He's got a few other standard moves. Like most Castlevania protagonists, he can use various sub-weapons like holy water and axes and cross-shaped boomerangs to help fight his enemies. And he could also execute a sliding move by pressing either of the shoulder buttons on the GBA. Basically, the right shoulder button always makes you slide to the right, and the left shoulder button always makes you slide to the left. So this replaces basically the dashing move from Circle of the Moon. You could easily tap on the shoulder buttons to quickly move around from place to place and get out of harm's reach. Like in Circle of the Moon and Symphony of the Night, in Harmony of Dissonance, you gain certain relics that give you access to new special moves that you don't initially have when you begin. These include a double jump and a slide tackle and a few other moves. And basically, once you get these, you'll be able to explore other parts of the castle that you couldn't reach before. This is how the game manages to have a non-linear structure to it, much like a couple of its predecessors. And this kind of keeps you interested in exploring the action all throughout. Actually, you'll find that Dracula's castle has sort of two different dimensions to it. And is quite big, so things you might do in one dimension of the castle will affect the other side of it. Like its predecessor, Harmony of Dissonance just has tons of different monsters to fight. Some of them actually seem as though they've been ripped straight out of Symphony of the Night or Circle of the Moon, which might strike you as a little bit cheap, but still you'll appreciate having dozens of different things to fight, and some monsters will only appear in single rooms of the castle, and you'll just enjoy seeing how much variety there is both in the enemies and in the different environments you'll go through. Of particular note, the boss battles in Harmony of Dissonance really look great. You fight these big, huge bosses that make pretty impressive use of the hardware's capabilities with lots of kind of rotation and other little special effects. The bosses in this game are actually quite a bit easier on the whole than they were in Circle of the Moon. And in general, Harmony of Dissonance just isn't nearly as hard as the last GBA Castlevania games. Even after you finish the game, there are a number of additional extras that you can unlock, which are actually pretty cool. One of them is a kind of a boss battle mode where you fight the various bosses in the game one after another. There's some other interesting hidden features that you might uncover as well. Harmony of Dissonance certainly looks much better than Circle of the Moon did. The big criticism of the previous GBA Castlevania game was that it was just way too dark. Even if you were playing the game in direct sun, it was sometimes hard to see what was going on. Won't be a problem here. In fact, Konami almost seemed to go out of its way to make it so that you could easily see what's going on. You'll notice that Juste is surrounded by kind of a shimmering blue energy, and whenever he jumps you'll see kind of blue shadows follow behind him. So Harmony of Dissonance by all means looks great. can't really say that for how it sounds, unfortunately. The Castlevania games are known for their outstanding music, but this one won't be remembered as one of the best of the bunch. That's especially disappointing considering Circle of the Moon had a really good soundtrack, but Harmony of Dissonance, the music sounds kind of tinny and more 8-bit at times than 16-bit. It's pretty simple, really. If you liked Circle of the Moon, you should give Harmony of Dissonance a shot too. It's got many of the same great qualities that the previous game had, and it improves on the previous game in a lot of ways as well. Some aspects aren't quite as good, but hey, it's still a Castlevania game and probably the only one we'll be playing for a while. And if by some chance you haven't played a Castlevania game before, then by all means you should start with this one.